Welcome to Herf Zone Live. I'm here every Tuesday to bring you the best content weekly. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, search for Team Shirtless Mike, and follow me on Facebook at Shirtless Mike. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Shirtless Mike 2020. See what goes on in my life, and hopefully I can see what goes on in yours. Herf Zone Live is expanding. Get your product in front of hundreds of viewers every single week. Let me advertise your cigar or product to my audience. DM me, let's exchange information and get you a part of the Team Shirtless Mike team. What is going on, everybody? Looks like we got some comments down below. We got my boy house guest already tuning in. So if you're already tuning in, make sure you share this live, share this feed, because this is going to be an excellent show tonight. Um, Last week we had a repeat and it was all good. I had a busy week with my other podcast called Gangsters and Cigars. And actually, I don't think I've talked about it much on here. So I have a secondary podcast called Gangsters and Cigars. Me and my buddy, we call him Bobby Bacala. And we interviewed a few different people for Halloween. He was going out of town, so we did like two shows and all that. So uh, when after this show, you could go over and search for Gangsters and Cigars podcast, and you can check that out. And we've done like 10 episodes now. 11 coming this week. So it was a busy week last week. So I appreciate everybody for still tuning in to the replay and all that good stuff. So, well, tonight we have a very special treat. Just like I bring you some of the best ladies of the leaf that actually smoke cigars, those who I want to give a lot of shine to. Tonight we have Lauren Coper from Micallef Cigars, and we're going to talk about the adventure I went on before the show to actually get the cigars that I'm going to smoke tonight and all that. But without further ado, from the Hustler Universe Podcast Network Green Room, where you'll find the Cigar Hustlers podcast and the Chet and Palmer Shit Show, welcome to Herf Zone Live, Lauren from Micallef. What's
Hi.
happening?
Not much, just enjoying the good life. Cigar, whiskey, all set. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. It's definitely a pleasure to have you on, and somebody just like I explained before, you're somebody I followed on social media for a while. Your reels are hilarious.
Oh, thank you.
You know, definitely get the laughs every single day, week. However many times you're up. Every time I turn around, you got something new coming out. So
I try. It's definitely a hustle.
yeah, so to get these cigars, I was gonna explain to my audience real quick. So, some friends of mine, which I actually told them to please tune in because I'm gonna give them a shout out. So my friends over at Jimmy's Cigar Lounge in West Melbourne, you can Google them. I'm sure they'll be watching on their big screen TV on YouTube, but um, so I called. I was like, I live on the central part of our county, or I work on the central part of our county, but I live on the south, where kind of like where Jimmy's is, but it's like on the other side of town. So I'm like, I called my boy John. I was like, hey, I know y'all carry Micallef. Please pick out 2 Micallef cigars for me. I'm in a rush. I'm leaving work. I'm gonna come and get it or whatever. So I did, and it was like I was dealing with traffic. It was like a whole Pee Wee's
Oh gosh,
big adventure.
it's like a film.
Just because I'm kind of lazy, I did not secure my cigars in advance, but I made it happen tonight. So, and upon your recommendation, I'm smoking the Micallef A,
Yes.
like you told me to smoke. You said it's really good, so I'm gonna take it from the expert herself. So, and tell everybody out there what you're smoking before we get
So
started.
I'm smoking the Leanna #1. Usually comes in a coffin. Actually comes in two sizes. Comes in a Churchill and then a torpedo. Actually, they're both kind of torpedoes. They just have a more elongated tip. So there's Leanna #1, #2. Fantastic flavor with these. Again, Ecuadorian Habano. Love Ecuadorian Habanos. Have such a love affair with them. Pairs nice with whiskey. Just fantastic. I thought it was very appropriate to be smoking one while I was on here.
Absolutely. So you're joining us from Texas, from Houston, Texas, correct?
More Fort Worth area.
Fort Worth. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just over here getting my areas confused there. So Fort Worth.
It's okay.
And are you a Texas native?
No, I'm not. I'm originally from Chicago. And then I lived in California for about like 5 years. So I was definitely one of those assholes that moved from California to Texas during COVID. But I'm technically not from there, so I can say that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because I mean, you could have lived in California, but as long as you're not of California, then you're good. No
Yeah.
offense to my California people. We got some my boy house
No,
guests is out
I
there in
know.
California.
I have my closest friends in California, but I was very happy to leave. Very happy. Very comfortable in Texas. Absolutely drink the Kool Aid here. I definitely consider myself a Texan through and through.
Nice. Now, so growing up in Chicago, were you like in the suburbs or like were you like in the city part of Chicago?
Yeah, so I did grow up in the southwest suburbs, and then I did live in Chicago for a couple years. I went to school there, and then moved back out to the suburbs, and then straight away to California.
Oh, okay, cool. And like just growing up, were you involved in like any extracurricular activities or you know
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that?
variety of things. Actually, I think my love affair with cigars first started actually in the Chicagoland area. That's how I first got into cigars. Actually, it was beer that kind of was the segue into that. So I was really into beer, went to beer festivals, and then I started seeing cigar temps pop up everywhere there. So I started trying those out, ordering them online, and then I walked into my first cigar lounge and I absolutely just like fell in love. And then yeah, it's kind of funny when people ask you what your extracurriculars are. I feel like now I'm working mine.
Yeah. So, well, I was more so talking about like growing up. You kind of jumped ahead on me there, but
Oh, that's
you
okay.
know, yeah. But it's all good. But
No,
we all know where your heart is. The extracurricular activities is cigars and drinking and having a good time.
yeah,
So
well, and I'm kind of an artsy fart too by nature. I went to Columbia College, which is an artsy school, so I do a lot of drawing, a lot of creative work. I also love design, that kind of stuff. So I was very much into that scene.
nice. Have you ever like been showcased in any art galleries or something like that? Like where people display art.
Yes and no. I did have some of my work in like just some exhibits here and there. I did a lot of like nude abstracts. That was kind of my jam. Love playing with the human form, worked with a lot of nude models. So I kind of did experiment a little bit more into that. And it's funny though, like when you draw female nudes, like you don't really have to ask permission to like have them in exhibits. Like, but if you have the male form in all its glory showcased, you have to contact the gallery in advance and ask them if it's okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's double standard, totally.
I mean, when women are nude, it's it's sexy. When dudes are nude, it's just fucking hilarious.
Well, it's okay. So I do have a theory about like penises. Like, they're kind of like warm and they feel good, but you can't look at them directly. They're kind of like the sun. Can't look at them directly at all.
Hey, it's all good.
Coming from a heterosexual woman over here, so I'm sorry. I hope that's
No,
not
no,
too
it's Herf's on
inappropriate.
live. We talk about everything, so it's all good. So
Yeah.
it's all good. But so yeah, that's cool. And so you big into drawing, and you've you know drew some new models and stuff. Have you ever? How much would you charge me to not be nude, but to do like a shirtless portrait? So I could
Oh
just
my gosh, you're asking an artist to put a value in what they do. That's the most difficult thing ever. It's like so self-deprecating. We always like, I'll just do it for free. It's fine. And then you're like, I should have charged.
no. I'm definitely I'm an artist myself in the fact I used to rap and used to write lyrics and stuff like that. So I definitely I got a lot of appreciation for art in whatever form it comes in. So but yeah, I thought I need to get a shirtless portrait done of me and because I'm very unique. So
Yeah, you should totally get that done. That'd be awesome. I used to like doing characters for my friends too. For like when I was totally broke, I used to do like characters for their Christmas presents and stuff. But I'm so rusty now. Like I have to like pick that up again. I can draw from like my own style, but like looking at stuff now, like you have to like retrain your eye and everything. So, girl, a little rusty over here.
yeah, and see one thing I've never really been into like drawing like I can't draw worth shit. So like people that really can draw, like my step uncle, who passed away last year, he was
Mhm.
big into drawing, and at his memorial, like he had like we had like books and books of like stuff that he drew, and everybody was just looking at it, and like I almost forgot how good he was. So just admiring that, like it's something that you can, people can remember you by, when one day when we're no longer here. So.
Yeah, and honestly, like I feel like anyone like I mean, sure, like you can have like a certain base level of talent or skill, but you can totally train yourself and with enough practice actually become decent at it. Again, it's all about like the eye and training your eye and translating what you see and putting it on paper. And I remember in college I got exponentially better because they taught you how to like just draw faster. Just like, nope, put it down, like no tracing, no nothing, no redrawing, no overthinking. Just put it down right away, and then you kind of pick up your skills. It's like becoming fluent in another language.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about practice and, and doing it in real life situations,
Mhm.
especially like another language. Like I don't learn anything just by sitting here and be like, "Hola, ¿cómo está?" Like, like
You don't give me another language. I give them a lot because I
drop me off in a
try
foreign
so hard.
country and I'm trying to order some food.
Yeah, I wish I could speak another language. I've tried, and then I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking just Woodford Reserve.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a good go-to whiskey for me. Had a bottle conveniently. I haven't drinking my whole stock out, so I was just like, yeah, we're gonna break that out, drink a little bit of it.
Nice. I actually won a bottle at Executive Sanford a year or two ago. I was there for an event. It was a couple years ago now, but anyway, so a friend of mine who passed away, I was with his brother, and I just happened to win. I never win anything, but of all times, I win. A special bottle of Woodford Reserve. And since I'm not a big drinker anymore, like when I was in my 20s, I was. So now it was just like, oh, whatever. So my buddy, who his brother passed away, I basically gifted him that bottle in honor of his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I told him, I said, make sure you save some. So when I come visit, I was like, we can break it open together. It's just I'm not gonna be sit there and drinking it. I'm not gonna sit there and drink it by myself. Or I'd rather share it. It brings you more joy to share
Yeah,
than to sit there and hog it all.
honestly, it's pretty affordable too, which is what I like. I'm a girl on the budget, so anything that's not ridiculously expensive, I do tend to enjoy more. I don't want to cut off an arm and a leg to enjoy something, so I do enjoy intensely the Woodford Reserve, and it's a good go-to. It's great in old fashions. You can never go wrong with it. So definitely just a good, solid foundation when it comes to drinking whiskey.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, my job we don't have a liquor license, but we have a wine-based liquor.
Oh, nice.
So I've learned how to make smoky old fashions, and like since I'm not a real bartender, like I just pretend. So I learned how to make one drink, and so that way if somebody comes in during the day, like then if they're not sure what they want, I can be like, well, I can make you a smoky old fashioned, and then I make it look cool and all that, and then I just sell them on it right there, right then and there, because it's a lot cheaper than a regular old fashioned.
And honestly, you can never go wrong with old fashioned cigars. That's actually my favorite cocktail. Absolutely love it. For like our Micallef live shows we do Friday, I christened every Friday to be Old Fashioned Friday. And
Nice.
and also, oh my gosh, if you do like old fashions though, I discovered this awesome new product. It's called Treaty Oak. It's essentially whiskey and bitters, and it's just in a bottle. It's like an instant old fashioned mix, but
Oh,
it's
I saw that.
super good. And it's not. It's like $27. Oh, I could drink that whole bottle by myself. It's just goes down way too easily. So
Yeah, I saw that, and then I saw one where it's basically like a already mixed or whatever. You just add, like an orange or whatever in there. So,
yeah. Oh,
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that. I kind of like although I haven't made it, with regular liquor or whatever. So I feel like the wine-based liquor way to do it's a little bit cheating, but hell, I learned how to do it because I'm not that good. But the people that have my old fat, I got people sharing pictures, but oh, it's a shirtless Mike old fashioned. So
so you said wine based liquor?
yeah, so it's got like 41% alcohol, so it's a lot less. It's
That's so
fermented, not
interesting.
distilled. It's really interesting. You can make Actually, I did make another drink with that. I made a Long Island iced tea, in which my first time making that, but I knew it's just a bunch of different stuff
Took me
concocted
back to my
together.
20s. Oh my god.
And so I made it for this lady, and then she took one sip and she put $20 on the counter. It was like, "That's for you. This is so freaking good." I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, there's some bars that only like have like the wine license or what, or like so like wine based whiskey. So it's essentially like whiskey, but it's just made with wine. Is that right? Because I've never
Yeah,
actually
it's fermented and not distilled, so it's got like I think it's like 41% alcohol. I looked on it today because somebody was asking me about it.
Mhm.
So they got different. But the only thing is, though, it's not that good if you try to drink it straight.
Yo, gotta
It's
get
more of a it's just one of those things. Like I tried it straight. When I was behind the bar one time, I was like, this tastes like the muted version of what it's trying to be. But whenever you make drinks with it, different cocktails. Like our bartender Tara, she makes awesome martinis, and we call them Taratinis, and we created a whole day just for her. And so she comes in as Taratini Thursday.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good branding right there. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
But I mean, it's cool though. But anyway, so prior to working, we have a lot to talk about. So I like to take people through people's timelines and just have fun with
Of
it.
course.
But so prior to working with Micallef, what kind of jobs were you doing, before getting into the industry full time?
Oh gosh, I feel like I've worked many jobs. We're like similar age, so you remember the fabulous recession that we went through. I remember when I was
Yep.
going to college at the time. Basically, the hype up conversation they would tell you is like, well, we're in a recession, so you're gonna be lucky if you find a job after graduation. So that was what I was inheriting when I joined the workforce. So I've done it all. I've done cocktail waitressing. I've been a receptionist. I worked at Aldi. I did radio sales, and then I guess my first really professional job was I did industrial sales. I sold garage door operators and gate operators to businesses that professionally installed product, and
Hmm.
they're the ones that moved me out to California. So previous to getting into cigars, that's what I was doing. So I was working in industrial sales at the time.
Nice. And how did you come across Micallef cigars? I mean, obviously the cigars came first. You've already told us how you got into cigars.
Yeah.
But how did you come across McAllister? Was it a position that was part of your position because you do a lot of social media stuff, but you know so just get into that
Yeah, for sure.
before I.
So I think during COVID, a lot of us kind of went through this kind of rework or rethink about how we wanted to like start living our lives or what we could do better or actually reinventing ourselves. And at the time, like I didn't have a bad job, but I just didn't enjoy what I was doing. So I really wanted to quit. So I waited for my bonus to come in and then I quit. I moved to Texas and I was thinking about what my next step would have been. And I've, always been a long-term cigar smoker and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the culture and I just wanted to be involved with something that gave a lot of personal value to my life. So I was like, okay, I want to get into cigars. Okay, how do I need to do that? So I was lucky. Cigars International was opening up a new location in Fort Worth and they were hiring people to work inside the humidor. So at the time, I was very blessed that I could take a huge pay cut like that. And I just applied, got hired, and then I just started working in the humidor for about, like, I want to say 10 months. And Al Micallef, who lives around that area, would come in all the time. I was talking to him, became friends with him. And eventually he, came in and was like, hey, I have a job for you. I really want you to work for me. So then I started working for Micallef. I started doing inside sales, just working the phone, cold calling, kind of being a support to the sales team. And then when Sam, who's working marketing, left the company, I kind of was offloaded a lot of his responsibilities. So I kind of just like fell into the whole marketing social media thing. So this is kind of like a new endeavor for me this year. So it's been like a year and a half working at Micallef, but
Hmm.
it's been quite the ride.
Yeah. Now, were you? So coming into doing being on, were you on social media personally, like as Triple Maduro? Is that like what you were going by before then, and then you just kind of transitioned that to, because I know you
Yeah.
tag Micallef and stuff, so
Yeah, I mean, I like played around. Like, I like photography. I played around with the whole like, taking pictures with cigars, like that kind of thing, and falling in step with that. It wasn't until like I always kind of wanted to do like video content, but like you probably know, like the inner perfectionist that's inside of you is like, well, I got to make sure everything's perfect before I even start this, so I'm never going to start it.
yeah.
And then Amanda Micallef, she's Al's daughter. That she's like the vice president. She also does. She's in charge of marketing for Micallef. She walked into my office and she's like, "You're gonna start doing reels for us. Here's how you do them. Figure it out. Go ahead and do it." And I was like, "Ooh," like, okay, all right. So I just started playing around with it at first, and then it just snowballed from there. I asked her, can they be humorous? Like, what's our motivation as a brand? And she says, you can do whatever you want, just be appropriate. I've gotten away with a lot.
Appropriate.
Appropriate. So luckily, a few dick jokes here and there, but we're good. We're good. We're still appropriate. A little racy, I guess, but it's been working and gotten a lot of good positive feedback. So it's definitely launched me into like that side of the media section. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely just watching the reels. Like I can't say it enough. Just fucking hilarious, and probably the biggest one the biggest couple that you've done so far was you and Big Ashes, and
Yes.
you were about people who mispronounce, um, cigar names and everything. So I have a friend, is my best friend John. Shouts out my boy Deeks, and so like a long time ago, he loves Tatuaje. And so, like a long time ago, before I even knew him, he told me this story. He said he was like walked into a cigar shop. He was like, "Hey, do you have the cigar called Twat?" And then there was like,
I
"What?" He's
think I
like,
saw that comment you
he,
put on the
"Yeah."
thread.
He was like, "Yeah, Twat," and I tagged him in it. He's like, "Yeah, Twat," and then he's like, "Oh, you mean Tatuaje?" Because he's like, you know, he's dyslexic, so sometimes he mixes
It
stuff up
happens.
or whatever. So it's just, so now every time we always just bust each other's balls. Like we go kind of hard because I mean that's just like if we didn't like we you you would know that there's something wrong if we didn't go hard on busting each other's balls. So
No, and that's the thing. I think as being a consumer for so long and then working in the industry and then finally working for a manufacturer, you kind of are able to like take all your experiences from that and like make fun of it. And the mispronunciations, like I remember I was actually on the phone with Ashley because we talk on the phone every day.
yeah.
And I don't even know how it came up. Because I remember working when I was training at Cigars International, and they were saying, okay, now people are going to come into the humidor and they're going to mispronounce the names, and you need to figure out what they want. And he's like Viaje, they're going to call it like the JJ cigar. That is a real, like, real world. I was on the phone
Yeah,
with her. I said
it's
that.
absolutely true. Like I
And
work the humidor every single day.
yeah, and she died, and we just started like just naming all the cigars that we mispronounced all the time. And like I've done it, like I remember it took me eons to pronounce Arturo Fuente, like a lot. Like I would just be like, it's Fuente, Fuente, you need Fuente. Like I'm garbage at pronouncing things, so it's really well, I feel sorry for Viaje. I hope they don't call him the JJ brands. Even though
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
global.
there's nothing wrong with it.
It's good
It's
publicity. We tagged them. They didn't say anything though, so I don't know how well they took it. But so it's really just poking fun at ourselves, poking fun at everything, and hopefully it's very relatable comedy because if you're not making fun of yourself, like what else are you gonna laugh at? Besides
exactly.
yourself.
One reel that was extremely relatable to me though is when the reel about the person like describing the cigar based on the band or whatever,
Yeah.
because that happens weekly.
Yes.
Like people are and I have to, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, I really love this cigar. You recommended it to me. I came in 5 weeks ago. What cigar was it?" And I'm pretty good, but at the same time I'm like, I don't know exactly.
The bell was red. It was red. Do you know which one I was smoking? You're like,
and I just take them to all the red bands of like La Aroma de Cuba, Fuente, like it's red.
I remember, I think it was like like the guy smoked a Room 101, and he was like, it was like this interpretive dance of how he was describing it. And he was like, it was like flower, and it was just like, I was like, oh, is it this one? He's like, yes. And so in those moments, you're like, oh, that's success. Success right there. Fabulous. We got.
Yeah, I mean that's when I would call. I would probably get on a video chat with Matt Booth because me and him are bros, and I'd be like, "Yo, you gotta look at what this guy's doing, like to describe your brand." And he'll be like, "Fabulous."
Yes. So yeah, but working in a humidor, it definitely gives you another like layer of perspective that has helped me so much in like making
Yeah,
reels and hopefully, I feel like the biggest insecure is eventually running out of ideas, but hopefully they just keep coming.
yeah, most definitely. That's kind of the way I feel about doing a show. Like, I feel like, oh, I'm gonna run out of things to talk about or whatever. Which
Oh,
I
I
know
feel
that's not the
the same
case. I'm very long-winded, so I just try to get the guests that I know I can vibe well with, and
way. Mhm.
and then the magic happens. It's just something that you can't control. It just happens.
Well, yeah, and I get it too because we do like our own like off the record, and sometimes you do get worried about like, well, the cigar world is so small too, and so you're like,
Yeah.
I hope I don't run out of people soon. What can we talk about? I love talking about cigars, but there's so much layers to why people get in the cigar industry. It's not just cigars itself, it's really the culture, it's the people, it's the conversation. So it's like creating more ideas and content that everyone will find interesting. And that's a lot of pressure. So I have to hand it to you. Like I feel like I get a baby experience of that. So it is a lot
No,
to
no, no. It's not a baby experience. Like if you do that, if you host something, it's definitely a lot of work. Like you don't just get in front of a camera. I mean, you start by just getting in front of a camera and talking, but like prior is the preparation. It's like I used to almost feel like I'm stalking my guests online. Like, okay, like this is what this is for education, blah blah blah. Blah. And then I'm like, no, I feel like it's just too much. Like, I try, you want to be inquisitive. You don't want to know too much beforehand. You want to be like, you want to be thinking like somebody watching it, but like, okay, what are people thinking right now? What is information that people want to know? So,
hmm
and I feel, and I've listened to it. I haven't really seen too many stuff that I haven't seen your podcast, but I was on YouTube and saw a few things that you've done or whatever, and it's
God,
I always
especially
try to
on in
be
my cigar
different.
career. I don't know. I feel like I was getting my video legs then. I was terrified doing some of those because it is a muscle, like being on camera. There's a lot of nerves. And so you're just like, I hope I don't say anything stupid. Hope I look good doing it. So
Yeah, it's
hopefully
it's
as the
okay.
time goes on, I sound less verbal diarrhea and more articulation. That's
Yeah,
my
most
goal.
definitely. And sometimes when I feel like I can't word a question properly, I just like, you get it, just talk.
You understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you understand what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this here. So you run the podcast and Micallef does, like, how did that all come about, and like what are some things that you've learned from actually hosting a podcast and being a part of that for the amount of time that you have?
Well, it's a few things. I think it's always working on being a good interviewer, which I realize that takes so much skills to do so. I feel like it's on like no one understands it until they start doing it. Able to intensely listen to someone and then be able to come up with questions off the gate. Have a formal outline as well, but it's really about making the guests feel as comfortable as possible and then also extracting interesting content from them. So to those people that do it, I give them so much respect. Like, gives me a total different perspective on even newscasters and the reporters, people who interview all the time. So that is a skill I think I'm always continuing to work on, and just definitely opening my eyes to that realm of skill. And then also it's also just being the front line of a brand. I think that's a lot of pressure and a lot of skills. You want to be yourself, but you also want to represent something in the best of your abilities to make sure you don't outshine the brand, and then also put it on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So
There has to be a big balance of that for sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm foul mouth for sure, very inappropriate sometimes. So, that's always that tango of how much do I view myself, but how much am I representing something else that is something bigger than me entirely. So you do kind of have to put your ego like off the table a little bit and make sure you're upholding something in a really positive light. And then also just gaming your camera muscles. I'm a pretty outgoing person, but sometimes when the camera's on you, you can completely change as a person, and you're just like like you get nervous,
Yeah.
and you might misspeak, or you want to sound smarter than you are. It's like, that's always your ambition, right? Like, I hope I sound just like a badass on camera, but it's trying to balance all those skills and gaining them at the same time.
Yeah, I got news for you. We're probably never gonna sound smarter because trying to sound smarter will only make us sound dumber.
Yeah, and the internet is such, oh god, it is such the Wild West. And I think it's a great place to be in terms of exposure and gaining new audiences. But at the same time, like, it is a lot to deal with. I get camera fatigue sometimes, or I try not to take negative comments to heart, or brush. Luckily, I'm older, so I don't really take things as seriously as I used to. And even though you are putting yourself out there, you're in a vulnerable situation, it's not, don't take it personally. Like, that's usually my
Yeah.
advice to people who are like really online a lot.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I've been trolled
Oh,
before in the past, and it's just like, you know what? Nobody knows who you are. Everybody knows who I am. So obviously, I'm doing something right.
yeah, and we're like kind of in a culture today where everyone's like, taking each soundbite you say and dissecting it. So I'll have times where you invite someone on camera and they're like, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to do it. That's fine. I can't do it. And I can relate. I totally understand at the end of the day, because it's a lot of pressure to put on someone.
Yeah, most definitely. I do have to take a quick break to read out my to shout out my sponsor. I gotta get to the right thing. I'm gonna put you down below, and we'll be right back because I got a lot more to talk about. One moment. All right, so Herf Zone Live is sponsored by Nomos Cigars, rated 91 in Cigars and Spirits magazine. Nomos is a full body 6x56 cigar that features a rich, full flavor accomplished with a high quality construction and exclusive aging process. Once the fine cigar is born, it immediately begins our exclusive Nomos Aging Process nap. While each cigar naps, it continues to develop its unique aroma and flavor that sets itself apart from any other cigar the world over. It is a delicious medium smoke resulting from the finely aged Cameroon wrapper and blend of an 8-year-old seco Dominican filler and 5-year-old Nicaragua criollo filler. The Indonesian Sumatran binder finishes the cigar ingredients with the finest quality tobacco available. This exclusive blend provides a beautiful smoke right down to the last nub. Check out nomoscigars.com for info on where to find retailers that carry Nomos cigars. Orders also available on their website. Follow them on Instagram at Nomos Cigars. Alrighty. So getting back to the topic of hosting a podcast, being a part of all that, you had the opportunity to interview a lot of interesting and fun people. Who is who was the most difficult interview? It doesn't have to be in a negative way. Just who did you feel like was the hardest to interview, and then who do you feel like was the easiest to interview?
Well, honestly, I haven't really interviewed too many heavy hitters yet, since I'm still like just getting into this section of it. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people are difficult to interview in the cigar industry. I feel like a lot of the people who are representing the brands, like I interviewed Fred Rury from Illusione, and then Terrence Riley from Aganorsa. He's such an easy interviewer. He just talks for a living. And a
Yeah,
lot of people who do represent brands, they're so used to going on podcasts and being the front man. And so I think it's just second nature to them. At the end of the day, I actually have to interview Steve Saka next month.
yes.
So I have to admit, a little intimidated, because I have so much respect for him. He's such a sassy man, though. So I'm very looking forward to that one.
That's
But
Uncle Steve to me. Like I just call him
yeah,
Uncle
I'm gonna do
Steve
my
at this
homework.
point.
So I think that will be interesting to interview. Like I've like just interviewed like just say run of the mill like consumers or just people who are not necessarily on the front lines of representing a brand. I think are probably the most difficult to interview because they're not used to carrying a conversation by themselves. I think are the most difficult people to interview. Like you'll ask them a question, they'll give a one-word answer, and then you're like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely rough, especially like you try to listen intently, and then all of a sudden they're trying to come up with the next question if you don't already have it, and then it's like, or they just jump too far ahead or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Then it's all about learning how to rope it in.
Yeah, and then being live too is just another layer to it. So
Oh yeah, no, it's very nerve wracking because you're like, oh my god, what if I just fail?
just fill the silence. Or I think I'm super hard on myself during an interview. Like there's sometimes I've gone to bed at night and I'm like, oh man, I sounded like such an asshole tonight. That's okay.
Yeah, and I can't really go back and I don't really listen too much to my past interviews. Like I will, like maybe one good time, but it's really hard for me to just go back and listen to myself because I'm like, I like to listen to what my guest says because I relive it and it's interesting. But then I feel like I'm like, oh my god, do I sound that cringy?
Well, you have to get over like, oh my god, that's what my voice sounds like. Oh, terrible. Please don't.
And
Please don't replay that.
I used to hate my voice, and then like I've learned how to talk a little bit better, over the years, and then so it's a little bit better, but not by much.
Well, I'm definitely regretting not taking allocution classes because, girl, like my pronunciation sometimes is absolute garbage. Or when I get nervous, like I gargle my words. So, like something I know how to pronounce will just come out like in a foreign dialect and no one knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get like that everyone. Like when I was kind of stuttering, I have a slight stuttering problem, but it's not because of nervousness. It's just I just get I- like I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say, but it can't come out fast enough. So I'm just like,
People who sound like smooth operators all the time, much respect to them. Like, good for you. Like, you
yeah.
assholes,
I
but good
mean,
for you.
I have it down. I've worked. I was in speech when I was a kid and all that, and I used to have a lisp too, so that kind of went down a lot. I think I do every once in a while, but it's just about thinking about it. I had to sit there and read words like you know with the S. It was kind of aggravating. But anyway, so talking more about so for those out there, talk about some of the stuff that Micallef has going on that you can talk about. Um, you know, you got you got the Micallef Ambassadors program.
Mm-hmm.
I know a little bit about that. I don't. It's crazy. I don't really join like a lot of like clubs and all that type of stuff, but because I have some influence, I like to help get the word out to people and all that. So for those who may not know about what you guys' ambassadors program is about, give people like the rundown about that, and just to kind of get people knowing a little bit more about Micallef.
Yeah, so the Micallef Ambassadors, essentially, we created, and well, to start off with, anyone that really falls hard for cigars always knows that it's about the community. It's this sense of like belonging. As soon as you sit down at a cigar lounge, you pick up a cigar, you have fantastic conversations with people, and that's what really draws people in. I think to something as simple as rolled up dried leaves. So we created a community within a community. And so the ambassadors are, it's essentially just like a group, and you can sign up, you get a certificate, a coin, you get access to all of our online content on our Facebook group, exclusive discounts, and also Dan Thompson, who's one of the creators, and he's our director. Very fast. Well, Dan and Amanda really tag team on this one, and they used them also as like a sounding board to stuff we're making, stuff we're going to create, what their input is, and I think especially nowadays as a brand, you have to have the consumer input. So that was a way that we did that, which made it inclusive as well as a collaborative effort. So That's what the ambassadors is, and they're just such a fantastic group. Just a lot of love there. I can literally go out if I'm ever in a bind or I need advice. I can literally just post something in the ambassador group and get like several messages from these guys. They're like so committed to not only the brand but cigars themselves. Like we're not stingy. Like you don't have to just smoke Micallef. Like we all know, like we all smoke different stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
So like they'll always post stuff that they're smoking, usually Micallef, but other stuff as well. And we have an open house now every year, and they come out, they fly up from all over the country, and it's just a fantastic group. It's like a second family. So that's really what the Micallef ambassadors are. And if you ever are in need of another community, especially an online one, I always recommend joining that one because it's such a positive group too. We don't have a lot of drama, thank God.
Yeah.
It's
Drama sucks. I don't do drama either. I just stay away from it.
Shit right away. We're like, no, not gonna happen.
Like, no, bitch, leave thy presence. So Micallef, they have a lot of consumer engagement. It's not just, it's just not like, oh, you just go to the cigar shop, you purchase your cigars, but the people that work for Micallef is, you guys are all, no matter, how far up in the company you are, you guys are all just, you're on it with social media and everything. Like, do you feel like that separates you from a lot of other companies? Because a lot of other companies also have that consumer engagement, but it's like you guys are like everywhere. You can't turn around now. Over the last 6 years, last couple years has really shown that you guys are all over the place now. So where was I going with that? So
like
yeah,
how different we are. I
yeah,
guess
like
we're different from other brands is that we're just I think it's just engagement. It really is. Like we do value the engagement from our ambassadors, from our consumers. And then we're also very realistic. Like we invite other brands onto our podcast and discuss cigars in general or about themselves. We're not just like Micallef, only Micallef, like all the time.
yeah,
We pretend that's the only thing we smoke. I think we're all about, adding to the diversity that is the cigar community and being like locked in with it as well. Like we add it and then we collaborate with other brands as well. So I think that's something we're going to be doing more in the future. And that's what I think sets us aside from other brands because we're not exclusive, we're collaborative.
yeah, most definitely. And you guys have your own factory and everything, right? Or
yeah, and we're starting to grow our own tobacco too, which is really exciting. That's like a new endeavor we're doing as well. We're gonna start taking stuff more in-house and just really expanding our legacy line, which is made by the Gomez Sanchez family. That's our rollers and our blenders, and so that's really exciting that we're doing too. We're having like a really strong story behind our brand, so exciting things.
yeah, I heard the story when I was listening to a show that you were on, and about how Al Micallef started. It was a Silverleaf
Mm-hmm.
Cigar
Yeah,
Lounge, and then the Gomez, they broke down right in front of the cigar shop. They went in there. Al Micallef happened to be there, and
yeah,
he helped them out. And they just, they was like, "Hey, we'll make cigars for you," and boom, the
yeah.
rest is history. So
Yeah, it's just cool. Like, well, I mean, divine intervention, right? You break down right in front of a cigar lounge, and like, we have cigars, like, and Al McAlpha was like, here, I'll pay for your car to get it fixed. I'll put you guys up in a hotel, but let's work something out. And it is definitely Al McCall's passion project, but he's also such a prevalent businessman. He's had his business in a lot of things. He has a very successful restaurant downtown Fort Worth. He has a silicone factory. So he definitely has a very strong head when it comes to business. And then bringing in like heavy hitters like Thomas in, and then his daughter Amanda Micallef, who's such a guru in marketing. It's just I feel like we have, and also our sales team too. Our sales teams are fantastic people. Andy is the director of sales, and so we have a lot of talented people on our team that are very passionate about the project, and then also expanding the brand itself. So it's really exciting to be a part of this collaborative effort.
absolutely. And then now that you're doing all these reels, I saw him. It's like now he's getting in on the reel, and I'm just like, oh Lord. Now he's just like, it's like he's just putting up with it, which he seems like he's enjoying it. But it was funny.
I
He was
know,
trying to
like
do the lip syncing.
Well, luckily Al is very much of a showman. So when I asked him to be a part of that reel, he was just like, "Sure, I'll do it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So he's very good sport about it. So it was very easy to coach him, and it was just fun. They're just fun at the end of the day. So it's really cool when a lot of my team members are able to collaborate. Well, I keep saying collaborate. My God, keep working with these projects. So
Yeah, that's a lot of fun for sure. Let's see. I had one thing. What the hell did I do in my? Oh yeah, so for the new consumer, they walk into a cigar shop and um they see Micallef there. Like, what cigar should they go? Would you recommend to somebody who's just brand new to Micallef?
brand
Like,
new.
you
Well,
know, just what should be their introduction to Micallef cigars?
Well, you sell cigars. I've sold cigars, so you kind of have to ask them "What's your palate? What's the cigar brands do you like? What do you enjoy?" It really depends on what kind of cigar smoker you are. But I guess if I would have to recommend two cigars off the bat, you should definitely try. I think that'd be three of them. My personal first love was the La Crema, the Experienza La Crema. That's the first cigar that Al Micallef gave me that I absolutely fell in love with. It was just so creamy. It tastes great with coffee. It just was very significant. It was the first cigar that really got me on board with the brand. But there's some other great ones that I would totally recommend. I love the Leanda number one. I love Ecuadorian Habano, especially that medium to full range. Pairs well with whiskey. I like whiskey, so I feel like those two sing together very significantly, and it's so different than what we have in our legacy line. One of my newfound favorites, if you like mild to medium, is our Riata in the 6x46. I love the smaller ring gauge, especially that 46 ring gauge. But it's my favorite go-to morning smoke. Has a little bit mild, but it's not like you're sucking air at all. Has a little bit more weight to it, but
Yeah,
again, tastes great with coffee. It's not going to take you a whole hour to smoke. God, there's so many. I really enjoy some of the other cigars that we have in the 4x46 ring gauge. So the Micallef A that you're smoking right now, absolutely love it in our lowercase a that we have now, which is so it's the 4x46 lowercase a. Again, fantastic, short, a lot of spice to it because you get that smaller ring gauge. So,
yeah.
and then the
This A
medallion
is really
46.
good right now.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
enjoying it.
yeah, the Micallef A is great, and that actually has a really cool story behind it as well. So that was actually named by our Micallef ambassadors. We released it, called it the No Name, and they bought it, they smoked it, and everyone voted on what they wanted to name it, and they wanted to name it the Micallef Ambassadors. So we decided to shorten it to Micallef A, and so that's the cigar that is now the Micallef A.
I mean, this cigar is awesome, and as far as a reintroduction to Micallef, it's got me, wanting to, to explore a little bit more, especially, meeting Amanda Micallef at the Great Smoke
Mm-hmm.
and Dan Thompson. I was hanging out with them both, and they're just awesome people. And now, are you gonna go to the Great Smoke in 2023, or are you gonna?
I don't know. I see Dan Thompson here in the comments, so
Oh snap! There goes Mr. Dan there.
I know my boss shows up out of nowhere. He just finds you. That's another talent
No,
that our
but see, he's a
employees
regular
have.
watcher of Herf's Zone Live, so I knew he would eventually show up. It's just, if Alan Rubin shows up, then I know there's some problems. But
Yeah, that's another thing. We're just
but
like
if Dan shows up, it's a joy.
yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got to go to the Great Smoke.
I've heard great things about
Dan
it.
likes me. I was like, hey, you need to allow her to go to the Great Smoke. Give her some time off.
Yes, I know. I mean, come on, expensive.
Exactly. I go to the
Send me
Great Smoke
everywhere.
every year. I threw my first official birthday bash last year, and it was not like promoted by Smoking. I'm the one who promoted it, and Abe, heard how good it was. I had a nice crowd there, like just all off the muscle.
Hmm.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Kevin Schweitzer from Rockefeller, he sponsored the party, and it was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So I gotta, I've had some people ask me. I can't say anything publicly because I'm trying to get that green light, but I don't know if there'll be a party in 2023, but if there is, I know it will be amazing, and I gotta have that conversation. I'm trying to get that conversation hopefully this week. So
Yeah, I forgot, when was the Great Smoke again? It's coming up
this
soon.
year it's gonna be in March. It normally is in February, so it falls around
Yeah.
like my birthday. So every year for Christmas, like my dad will get me a ticket, and
Oh,
it's
that's
just part of my Christmas, and it saves a little bit of money, because I live here in Florida, like 2 hours away, so I just got to get there, find somewhere to stay, and it's easy,
yeah.
and spend all my money on cigars.
I know, it's such an expensive habit, but it's so
See, Dan said anytime with you, Mike, is a good time. So,
good.
almost have me blushing over here. uh, damn, I lost my train. Dan's over here making me lose my train of thought now. So,
I know.
I mean, I was so on point. So we were
The
talking
pressure's
about,
on, isn't it?
yeah. So we were talking about the cigar. So, what's your outside of Micallef cigars? What brands do you tend to gravitate towards?
Oh, that's a lot. So I do like my father's. I think that was like my first brand that I ever fell in love with. Love my father's, Tatuaje, like Caldwell. I also like, let's see here, some other like fan favorites of mine. Crown Heads, excellent. Illusione, I love Illusione. Like,
Lugione is excellent cigar. I love the Epernay.
oh yeah, I love the Epernay, a little spice to it. Singular is really good. What else? And yeah, actually, that was like one of like the first like boutique brands that I kind of got into, like on the West Coast. Like the guy that used to help me out in the lounge there introduced me that, and I was able to go to their lounge in Reno. Really nice lounge, really cool. I like that brand a lot too. Yeah, like pretty much just smoke a little bit of everything. I used to do more like medium to full things, so I was a really big fan of Maduros. But now, like I feel like now as I'm gravitating more in my cigar journey, I'm liking like the mediums and then smoking in the morning. So like I'm starting to like the mild ones too. Like I never thought I'd be much of a Connecticut smoker, but I like them very much in the morning, like with a
Yeah,
cup of
I smoke
coffee.
so much. I gotta have something mild first thing in the morning,
Hmm.
unless I'm like super tired and I need ass kicked. Then I'll smoke something really strong, but
Yeah, like
mostly
Dunbarton.
mild in the morning.
Yeah, love the Silver Mesa Brulee in the morning. Fantastic. Like, oh, that's like a
Yeah,
treat.
that's one of my favorites there.
Oh my god! I never tried it because I was like, I don't like Connecticut's, and then I tried it and I was like, oh, this is amazing. So anytime I get it, it's like my treat cigar in the morning with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, because I mean, Steve Saka actually blended that. He said it's like supposed to taste like your grandfather's Connecticut. So actually, a friend of mine locally, he has a brand called Shafio Collection. Him and his wife, they got the brand, and he actually has a Connecticut that I helped name. He called it "Not Your Granddaddy's Connie" because it's a Connecticut that has a lot of strength to it. So you hear that term, "Not Your Granddaddy's Connecticut." Well, Sober Mesa Brulee is your
Yeah.
granddaddy's Connecticut. So
Yeah, and he makes good stuff. I like his Micaria, like the Micaria Churachaka, the Micaria. Those are really good ones. Like I call them dessert smokes because you have to have them after like dinner, post meal with a cocktail. Great. And we got done with, well, backtracking. We got done with Halloween. So Tatuate, I love the Skinny Monster series.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're opening up for Pete Johnson because next week Pete Johnson's going to be on the show, and that I'm going to have notes for because I got to make sure I'm totally on point. I mean, me and Pete are cool and all, but I got to make sure all the right questions are asked because he's a big wig, so got to make
I
sure.
know. Doesn't that get you nervous? Like when you have like big
I'm like,
wigs
me and him
on.
are cool, but to actually have him on my show is like wild. So.
Well, I hope he can follow me. Like I'm such a tough act to follow. That's good.
I mean, that's part of the reason why I was like, I knew you were gonna be a riot, a lot of fun to interview and have on the show and all that. So, this month you actually got, Micallef actually got into Big Ash's box.
Yes.
We were talking about that in the comments, being very inappropriate, and but she knows that I'm not a creeper, so it's okay. She knows I'm
She
not
did
like
that on purpose. And let me tell you,
exactly.
Ashley Big Ashes, like she is like, well, I met her at PCA because, well, I had a phone conversation with her previous to PCA, and she's like, we need to collaborate, we need to do stuff together. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And then I met her, and she's just such a dynamic character. She's so smart, just smart as a whip, like super clever, like just puts in those quippy comments, like just super fast. And
Yeah,
she's just a ball to work with. And so we were able to get in her box.
exactly. And actually, I was supposed to get her box, and I'm very financially irresponsible at times, which I'm working on.
Me
And
too.
I had some things that kind of came up, so I was not able to get the box this month. Which I will get the box again eventually, so I could do another unboxing to show you what's inside the box. But
Hmm.
actually, I got, believe it or not, I have one of her shirts. I'm shirtless Mike, and I got one of her shirts because it's gonna get a lot of attention. And then I got my Big Ash's coffee mug, and which I don't think. I think she has that on her site still, but I got the coffee mug, so I have my coffee with Big Ashes every morning. So
Yeah, she's such a hard worker too. She like really hustles and she knows her stuff, and she's fabulous to work with. I like talk to her every day. We're always like
yeah,
bouncing ideas off of each other. Continued collaborations, of course.
oh yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
She's been on my show like twice now
Mm-hmm.
because I
Yes.
had one with a group of women, which I need to do another episode like that because getting different ladies together. Like the last one got like started to get really real. I was like, I got to get that same group together
Mm-hmm.
because once they got comfortable with each other, it was about like I was out of the equation right there.
Yeah, we do our own like women's roundtable where we like to invite all women from all walks of life, or women in the industry, consumers, social media gurus too. We kind of add them all in, and just to kind of bring up that conversation, and it's really rewarding because I've worked in male dominated industries before. But as a woman, they can be somewhat isolating in certain retrospects. So it's always
Hmm.
good to you know connect with other women in the industry and to bounce grievances, ideas, and perspectives, and our shared experiences as well. So I always find that really rewarding to talk to women in the industry.
Oh yeah, because I mean it's interesting for me as a guy because I've always I'm the type of guy that I get along great. I could have female friends. Like I'm not the player type, so it's like any woman that's in my life is in several categories. They're either somebody that's romantic or not romantic. So it's like I know how to separate that. It's like I'm not like trying to like holler at everything that walks and all that. So like I get different perspectives because I just listen. All it takes is just listening and just get to know the different perspectives because sometimes you learn something,
Yeah,
believe
and
it or not.
and it also, as cigars are so diverse as they are, and there are more women smokers coming into the game now. So I
Hmm.
feel like it really adds to the culture that is cigars. And we always want something dynamic, something interesting, fresh perspectives. Uh, you know, I do find that men love walking into a room when there's women there. So
Exactly. I mean, especially
you always want a sausage party all the time.
especially women who smoke cigars. Because me, like I recently, I'm single, so I went to a speed dating event. A friend of mine is a
You did
promoter,
not.
and of course, I have to make it known because it's just something that I put up front. I'm like, look, I'm in the cigar industry. That's my lifestyle. You got to either be supportive or just one of those things. And then to find somebody who smokes cigars, like that's gonna be a real plus there because I'm not the dude that's gonna I talk to guys all the time and they met their wife before cigars
Mhm.
and then their wife is like totally unsupportive, like, oh, it stinks, and then they have to go through all these great lengths to hide, and I'm not that guy, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Well,
go through all the great lengths to hide. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna smoke a stogie wherever I want to, like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
that's why my boyfriend, like, he'll smoke a cigar with me, but he's not into it as as much as I am. So it's very much he's just had to accept that I'm just always gonna smell like a cigar all the
And
time.
I know women that's the other way around. Like there was this older
Mhm.
lady that I used to know. She used to come to the cigar shop I went to, and she would always, she'd show up. She would sit outside, read her book, smoke a cigar. She was telling me that her husband makes her change and put all her clothes in the laundry before
Oh
entering
my gosh.
into the house. And I'm like, nah.
And I was like, this is how I'm gonna be. I'm just gonna smell always like a cigar all the time. I picked up my parents from the airport when they were visiting in town just recently, and my mother's like, It smells like a cigar in here, and it's hysterical because I don't usually smoke in my car, so I'm just like, it's just how it smells.
Oh, I smoke any opportunity that I get, And right now I share a car with my grandma because, the car that I had kind of took a crap on me. So right now I'm just doing what I got to do, trying to get another one eventually. But I use her car and I smoke in there, but I know how to make sure it does not smell. I don't leave any type of smell in there. It's all about your personal hygiene to make sure you have the right scents and all that. Like you're good. Like, when somebody comes up and gives you a hug, if you got the right scent on, you don't even smell the cigar.
Well, it's funny too. Like you always get that comment asked all the time. The question asked is, people are like, "Well, what about the cigar breath the next day?" And I'm like, just brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth. Like,
there's a toothpaste. It's a charcoal toothpaste, Tom's. That stuff works wonders. It gets your palate so clean.
Yeah, floss.
Get your mouth so super clean. Just brush your fucking teeth.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. You pass out, you wake up, and you're like, "Oh man, I should have brushed my teeth the night before." But just gotta do it, guys. Just gotta do it.
Yeah, it's called Tom's, guys. Actually, a customer of mine was asking me about if cigar smoking stains your teeth, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's stained mine. Like, the couple teeth that are a little fucked up is, not due to cigars. It's, just due to dealing with depression in the past and not taking care of myself in the past. But I'm like, at this point, I take care of myself. So I was like, cigars are good. Like, just brush your teeth. And then he said he used that particular toothpaste I recommended. He was like, yo, it's perfect.
Yeah, you gotta do that. You gotta take care of yourself. And I totally relate. Like, when you are depressed, like it's like you just don't want to. You don't care about taking care of yourself anymore. You just like,
That was the past, but thank God that cigars helped me get through, and all good. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Because we're at the hour mark here. I usually keep it around an hour. I could go for 2 hours, but at the same time, I don't want to take up all your evening. Because
no, you're fine.
So, anything special coming up?
Oh, let's see. Well, let's see. I think if there's anything special. No, not necessarily. But I know next year we're going to be coming out with new sizes. We're going to be coming out with a stronger blend cigar next year, and then also some expanding some of our original sizes. I know our Leyenda, we're going to be having a Robusto and a Toro coming out soon. So very exciting things. Well, actually, we just released our collector's box. So Al Micallef, who is the owner of Micallef Cigars, it's his 80th birthday this year. So we came out with our collector's edition, and it's pretty much our entire legacy series, except for the Torcedores and the Micallef A, and they're all in a 5x40 ring gauge, two sticks per blend, so it's 16 cigars overall. It's in a beautiful white pine box. So that should be at Micallef dealers right now. So if anyone is interested in that, I highly recommend it. It's just a fantastic representation of our entire portfolio. And 5x40, it's like chef's kiss. Fabulous flavor on it.
Most definitely. Well, Lauren, I really appreciate you for coming on the show and getting to know you and, showing people just how cool you are and all that good stuff.
I hope I came across it.
So make sure you follow her. I have her Instagram in the title of here, so make sure you give her a follow. And don't be inboxing her inappropriate stuff, or I'm gonna send the mob after you.
Well, that hasn't been a problem yet. I say yes.
You have to worry about her inboxing you inappropriate stuff. But so I appreciate you for coming on the show. If this is your first time watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like me on Facebook, Shirtless Mike. Follow me on Instagram. All the information's right there on the screen. So, Lauren, I will let you know when we're not live so we can talk that real